going on there. Sure. This is gonna be weird because everybody in my household is home at the moment. So if I am just a little bit uncomfortable, that's why. Hi, I'm Olivia and I'm the Witch of Wonderlust. Today I'm going through kind of more of an in-depth version of candle magic. I did have a collaboration video with my friend Mystic Dylan, and I will link that up. And we already go into the basics of candle magic, and we go into it a little more loosely, but this one I'm going to walk you through how to create a magical candle. Today I'm drinking a regular jasmine tea. There's not really a brand, it's literally just jasmine tea that's in this ominous unlabeled container. Right, so let's just get into it. So candle magic is one of my favorite ways to do any kind of work because it's relatively very easy and it can be inconspicuous if you aren't open about your practice quite yet. The first thing you want to do when you are choosing a candle for your spell is maybe find a color that corresponds with your intention. This is totally optional, it's not necessary, so if you're doing, prosperity magic and you cannot find a green candle, or maybe it's a little too suspicious if you have a green candle just hanging out on a shelf, white will work for anything. So if you're not able to find or work with the color of your choosing, then white works for absolutely anything. The kind of candle. The kind of candle I personally feel is important, but at the end of the day, whatever you got will work. My personal rule of thumb is the bigger the work, the bigger the candle. So if you're doing something that is just, oh, I just need a little burst of luck today, then a birthday candle or a tea light candle will do just fine. Whereas if you were doing something that's like a 7-day cleansing of yourself, clearing the obstacles in a certain situation, that a birthday candle might have a little bit of an effect, but that is something more that is better worked over a couple of different days. So what you could do is either use one of the 7-day candles, like a bigger candle, or you could use multiple tea lights or multiple birthday candles. So there's all kinds of different candles. There's different sizes of taper candles, and you can find those relatively anywhere. And you can even use scented candles. I get a lot of questions asking if they can use scented candles, and I feel like that's totally fine. And also there's the figure candles. So figure candles would be a form of sympathetic magic. So like we talked about in the magical dolls video up here, that would be a form of sympathetic magic where you're using something to represent something else. And again, obviously, whatever you have will work. So if you aren't able to have this super obvious witchy candle burning, then just use a regular candle and that will work just fine. If you have leftover wax, I think there are two separate situations. So if you have leftover wax from just simply burning a candle to burn the candle, I think that's different and you can absolutely reuse that if you like. If you have wax left over from a spell, I think you really want to take in consideration what that spell was for, because if you're doing some kind of baneful magic and then you try to reuse the wax for attraction magic, you probably don't want to do that. So just really think about the intention that was put into the wax before you reuse it. Say if you were doing an attraction spell and then you had leftover wax and you're going to do another attraction spell. Depending on the situation, I feel like that's totally fine, but again, it's your practice and use what you got. So once you have your candle, of course, cleanse it. Just the process of it becoming a candle and getting to the store, and then all the hands that it goes through and people picking it up and all the energies that it comes in contact with. No matter where you get it from, it's always just good to cleanse your candle. So once you've cleansed it, the next steps are completely optional. So you can pick and choose which ones work the best for you or which ones that you feel are necessary in this certain working. But again, these are totally optional and you do not need these things in order to make a spell manifest. So the first thing is to carve your candle. Carving can be done in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons. Using a sharp tool, basically think of your candle as your petition. So we talked about petitions in this video, and it's kind of the same thing. You can use names and birthdays, you can write your petition out, or you can even just use different symbols or sigils. Again, this totally depends on what kind of spell that you're doing and what you feel like works best for your personal working. If you wish, you can totally use directions such as writing it from the bottom up or the top to the bottom. You can write it from left to right or right to left or diagonal or write it all the way around in a spiral. Some people do this and they feel that that adds the extra oomph. It's, again, up to you if you feel like that's something that's important that you do. So if the wax is not accessible, you have a 7-day candle or a candle that's in glass, just use a Sharpie or even paint and a paintbrush and just draw or paint on any of the symbols, the sigils, the names, the petition, whatever that may be, onto the actual candle, and that works too. Or you can just write it on a piece of paper, just like in the petition video, and stick it right underneath the candle. All of those work. You can also print candle labels, so you can either create your own designs, find some online, or these are a couple of my designs. I'll leave a link to those printables down below. The next step would be to anoint your candle. Anointing your candle can also be done in directions, from the top to the bottom, to the bottom to the top, left to right, right to left, or you can just cover it completely. Personally, I will like to, whatever I'm anointing my candle in, and put it on my hands and rub it in. Of course, this is if it is safe to put on your skin. I've not personally done a spell where there is something unsafe that I'm putting on my skin and onto the candle. Side note, make sure that whatever you're anointing your candle in is not flammable. Do not anoint your candle in Florida water because that is highly flammable. A lot of the times there are custom oils that you can purchase from plenty of different people. I will leave a few links down below of different places that I personally would purchase oils from. They're really wonderful people and they make really good products. You can also use custom oils that you've created, or again, when you're in a pinch, don't have access to buy oils themselves, so you can always just use something like moon water, or olive oil works for everything. When you're working with a 7-day glass candle, you can either anoint the outside of it if you wish, or you can take something sharper like a pencil or something and poke holes into the top of the wax. There you can use numerology, so depending on what your intention is, you can use a certain amount of numbers of holes. Once you've poked those holes, you can just drizzle whatever you're using to anoint the candle into those holes. And the last step would to be dressing your candle. This is not something that I do very commonly, and if I do, it's very minimal, but again, it's totally up to how somebody wants to create their candle or what their intention is for. Dressing a candle is just using corresponding herbs or crushed ingredients in order to cover their candle in. So this is much easier done after anointing a candle. All of the herbs and ingredients will actually stick to the candle. So this is things like any activated herbs that you've already charged and put your intention in. You can use dirt, or Mystic Dylan likes to use glitter and it looks super pretty. Keep in mind, whatever you dress your candles in, this can affect the way it burns. So if you're trying to read the candle's flame, just really keep that in mind, that it might just be burning a certain herb or burning something that you've dressed your candle in, because you don't want to get a false reading on burning herbs. And when you're burning your candle, say you're burning one of these candles and you have to leave and you can't just leave it burning, which fire safety, please, 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 please practice fire safety. Don't leave it next to anything that might burn. Don't leave it in an area that has animals that might knock it over or small children. Just common sense, please. But if you're not able to leave it burning, make sure to snuff it out. So just take a candle snuffer or a spoon or anything that you can and suffocate the flame, because that's kind of like putting it on hold, whereas blowing it out is kind of canceling it. But that's all I have for you today, and I hope the examples that I showed helped out. If you do any candle magic and it turns out really pretty, or you just want to share, go ahead and share it in the hashtag Wonderlust Coven on Instagram. I really love this hashtag. People have been using it a lot, and it just makes me really happy to see all of the different things that you have created, because there are homemade tarot cards that I'm seeing, people going outside for walks and grounding themselves. I'm seeing just some really beautiful selfies. I'm seeing some money bowls and petitions, and it's really cool to see everybody interact with each other. Yeah, so please keep that up. Use that hashtag. I love it. But as always, I will see you in the next one. Best of luck. Be kind to each other, and may your gods treat you as you've treated others. Bye.